Tuesday Talks. We want to welcome you to our show here, our webinar, our virtual event, whatever you want to call it. We're absolutely delighted that you've joined us from wherever you are. I do know that you are calling from the East Coast, from Canada, even people from Alaska that are tuning in right now. So welcome to Tuesday Talks. We've got a great program here today, and we would hope that you're going to take a lot of notes, because we've got a great speaker that's going to share some amazing nuggets with you this afternoon, or this evening, I should say. So what I'd like to do, without any further ado, is get started, because we're just a few minutes behind. We are short on part of our staff today. We've got two people, both Raul and Rose are not available today, who are part of my program and help me quite a bit behind the scenes. And I'm also traveling right now. I'm doing this remotely, believe it or not. And so the other half of my staff is back in California. I'm not in California right now, but anyway, just got a lot of stuff that was happening behind the scenes, but we're glad that we're ready to get started. So just some announcements real quickly. I wanted to bring that up, and before I do that, I want to bring my PowerPoint up here, if you would. Okay, so I'm assuming that you guys can all see this. If someone could just maybe hit the little button on the side or down below, that's great. Thank you guys. Appreciate the feedback. Hands are going up. That's great. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and just give you some quick announcements here on June 17th, in a few days, basically. God, time is flying. Has it just dawned on anybody that we've all been quarantined since like mid-February, so we're almost going on 4 months, right? It's like March, April, May, June. So yeah, we're going on almost 4 months of quarantine. And so here we are. And this all started, this whole virtual webinar thing started 4 months ago, when we all had to stay home and we had to figure out ways how we can communicate with the rest of the world. So just wanted you guys to know that tomorrow, based on what you hear today, if you like what you hear, want to get more information, so that you and I and the people who invited you on this webinar today asked you to join us. If you want to work together in some way, please join us to get more information tomorrow at our orientation tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And then on Thursday, we have this guy named David Yu, with an organization called Everest, going to be doing some product training on June 18th at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And then on Saturday, I'll be doing some training as well at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, you'll notice that you'll have to register, and I hope, let me just go back real quickly. You have to register. Like this one's like blinking, right, with the arrows, and it's telling you, here, register here. So do me a favor, take your camera and just take a picture of that and make sure that you register for this event. Same thing for this event again. And finally, this one doesn't have the arrow blinking. I'm not sure why, but anyway, let me just do it. How's that? Is that showing up? I hope it is. Hey, go and register for that event, okay? Also, some of you guys are kind of young maybe, and you don't remember these TV shows, but television shows like Charlie's Angels, anybody remember that show? Hit the little button up down below, and, yeah, remember Charlie's Angels? There's been some movies out of it. The Love Boat. Anybody remember the show called The Love Boat? Or Heart to Heart? How about Dynasty, okay? Or Beverly Hills 90210, or Seventh Heaven, or Mod Squad, The Rookies, Sunset Beach. Any of these shows ring a bell? Some of you guys used to watch this. Quite different today, our TV shows, compared to these kind of shows. And I have to admit that I did watch these shows myself. I remember watching The Love Boat, and we all know the Love Boat theme, and the cruise director, Julie, and of course, Charlie's Angels. Love these shows, and these television shows were created, the producer of these TV shows was a man named Aaron Spelling. And Aaron Spelling did such an amazing job in the television world and entertainment world. And his son, just so you guys all know, will be, his name is Randy Spelling, will be on with us next Tuesday. That's right, next Tuesday, same time, same webinar right here. His son, Randy Spelling, will be joining us, and he'll be teaching you a lot, and like what it was like for him, and growing up in a family, with the Spelling family. And a lot of you probably know his sister, Tori Spelling, okay? But Randy will be joining us next week on Tuesday, June 23rd. Make sure you guys register. Let others know also, hey, you got to listen to Randy Spelling. He's got some great nuggets. He's going to share a lot of information. So make sure you get the information out and get more people tuned in to our webinar, okay? And then, of course, for those of you that are joining us that don't know who I am, my name is John Shin. I am a entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 30 years. My background is law because not that I had a desire to become a lawyer. That was not like my burning desire or my passion or my calling, purpose, whatever you want to call it. I've always wanted to do something other than law. But I went to law school mainly because I wanted to appease my parents, right? And coming from an Asian family, and many of you that are tuning in right now, wherever you are, there's college students that are, you know, tuning in from all over the country as well. And maybe you have those traditional Asian parents or Jewish parents or Indian, you know, Middle Eastern, I don't know, but Latino parents, you know, I don't want to make this or, you know, an ethnic thing, but we have parents that have, you know, that want us to become doctors and lawyers. So that's what I did. And I hated what I was doing, but that's where I met my wife. And so met my wife, and then my wife and I started a business together, and we did very well. We did well, and then we decided to read a book called Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill in 1937. And so Napoleon Hill was a young reporter who went to Andrew Carnegie, asked Mr. Carnegie, what is the secret to becoming successful? And then, of course, you know, he went and interviewed over 500 people to find out what is the secret to becoming successful. And that book has now gone off to sell over 200 million copies around the world, making it one of the, probably the most, you know, epic, or I would say, you know, the beginning, the genesis of personal development, right? And so I read the book, applied all the principles to my life, and I've embraced it, I've internalized it, and I had the privilege and the honor to be the executive producer of this movie. We got the rights from the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and we made a movie based on the original book. So now we've been doing some special screenings for this. It is available on DVD. I guess this is my little commercial here. If you go to johncshin.com, you could actually get this. It's available, includes shipping right to your front door, $25. Amazing movie. And then, of course, you know, there's different versions of Think and Grow Rich. And this year, I had finally released my book, which is the modern day version of this book. And I've interviewed some amazing people, and they're in my book here, like Steve Aoki and Kevin Harrington. And then there's Vera Wang and Dwayne Johnson, Jack Ma, Elon Musk, Penny Oy, Raja Dhaliwal, and the list goes on. So these are some very, very successful entrepreneurs that I interviewed for this book to find out what was the secret. What was it for them that was the turning point to help them become extremely successful at what they do. And then, you know, of course, we have the original hard book that's available on Amazon. Now we got the ebook version of this, and now we also have it on audio. You know, if you're the audio kind of person, we reduced the price. This month, only in the month of June, I did talk with the publisher, which is a company called Sound Wisdom. I spoke with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We all collaborated and decided that we want to get this book and the content of this information into your hands. And so it is not available at 27 or 24 or 19 or 14 or 9, or is basically available for $2.99 right now on Amazon. I highly, highly recommend that you get this book, apply the principles, and I'd love to chat with you about it. You know, tell me what your thoughts. Okay, what principle, or what are some of the steps that I taught you in this book that you've applied that's helped you out? And I've already gotten so many wonderful, you know, comments and feedback from people, you know, and telling me how this book has already changed their life, which is like music to my ears. Okay, so there it is. It's $2.99 right now on Amazon. Make sure you go and get this audio or Kindle version or the ebook. Okay, so there you have it. Now I do need your help, folks. What I need you to do, if you can, is just go to Amazon. If you've already bought the book or the ebook or the audio, you've listened to it, it's helped you. If you could do me a favor and just go in there and make a comment, a nice comment, okay? We don't need all the negative comments. There's too much negativity already in the world today. But if you could be so kind enough to make a comment and whatever you want to say, as long as it's good, I don't mind. All right, here we go. So leave your comments right there. We appreciate it. These are just a handful of the comments that people have made. And so now we went on a tour last year called the Think and Grow Rich World Tour, Legacy World Tour. We went to 12, our intention was to go to 12 countries, 34 states here in the United States. We did pretty good. We went to about 3 countries, and then we did, gosh, I don't know, I think it was like 9 or 10 different cities around the country in the United States. And of course, with all the COVID-19, it came to a screeching halt. And so now we're doing virtual training, okay? So everything we do, all the things that I've talked to you about this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, next week, I'm bringing in all these guest speakers. I bring them all on absolutely free of charge, right? All I want you to do is get some value from what we're going to share with you and apply what we teach you and go and become financially independent, right? Go live the American dream. And I have had the opportunity to share the stage with amazing people like former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. We've got Barbara Corcoran, who is in my movie, actually. This was actually at the movie premiere. And then I think she kissed me and got some makeup on my face, and then she was taking it off. So that's Barbara, amazing lady. Martin Shin, who is one of the board members with the Manny Pacquiao Foundation, and then Rob Dyrdek, who is also in the movie Think and Grow Rich. This is Stedman Graham, who is Oprah Winfrey's significant other, spiritual partner, business partner. What an amazing man Stedman Graham is. He's doing some big things around the world and doing whatever he can, you know. And the Stedman's a very tall man. If you've never seen this before, I am 5'8", and I think he's like 6'9" or something, and that's me standing beside him and taking a photo. That's my son in the background. This is a picture in our house. And then, of course, this is Steve Aoki here, who lives here in Las Vegas. And this is Mario Lopez. I've been on his show a couple times, his podcast show. And then we were hosting some events together. And last year, my wife and I both got knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. And what a privilege and honor that was. And then, of course, that's my wife right there. And so some amazing things have happened to both my wife and I. And so one of the questions we get frequently from people, we get some emails, we get text messages, you know, DMs on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and they ask, how did this all happen to us? You know, what was the secret? What was the turning point? How did it all happen? And that's really what I want to talk to you guys about here is, number one, is that we prayed, right? I mean, look, when we were at the lowest point of our lives in the early 90s, I mean, we got down on our knees and we prayed like there was no tomorrow. And it's amazing what happens when you pray, right? I mean, for instance, when you pray and you ask for things, okay, do you ever wonder that maybe God may be sending you your request in a different package? I mean, you ever think about that, right? Maybe, you know, some of you guys are asking for $1 million or $100,000, and you say, God, please send me $1 million. You know, though God works in mysterious ways, I'm not sure if he'll send you a briefcase with $1 million in it, right? FedEx, right? Next day. I don't know. Maybe he will. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. But I believe that a lot of times when you pray for things and you ask for things, God is sending you what you're asking for in a different package. Okay, and I think that whatever you've been praying for lately, maybe today you being on this webinar could be the answer. Maybe this is it. Okay, I don't know, but I do believe that everything happens for a reason. You know, there's a lot of things that you could be doing right now, and here you are tuned in with us tonight. Why did that happen? How did that happen? Why did somebody reach out to you, right? I mean, everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad that you're here, okay? Now, having said that, I am a big believer of timing. Like, I've always felt like I run into this person for a reason, and then the timing was perfect, right? I ran into this person, met that person, and the timing was perfect, right? And so in business, I believe the same thing. Like, I think timing is very important. And so for us, I guess, in the early 1940s, mid 40s, 1940, 64, a generation of people were born called the baby boomers, right? They were born between 1940 and 64. Now, I'm not a baby boomer, although I may look like a baby boomer. I'm not a baby boomer, okay? I am part of the Gen X population. But what happened was when these baby boomers came back, many of them from World War II in 1945, there was a surge of babies that were born, the largest generation of babies ever born within 18 years of each other. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that many of these men had not seen a woman in a long time in 1945, coming back from war, and then boom, babies were born, okay? So, excuse me, so now all of a sudden we have this surge, and now it's really interesting to track this. And this is one of the things that my wife did, is she started tracking in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, every decade, what industries, what companies were doing well. And there was no, I don't think it was coincidence that 80 million babies were born and suddenly the baby industry starts doing well, right? And then the babies got a little bit older, they wanted toys, and the babies got a little bit older, and then it was fast food, then it was the cars, and then it was technology, then it was real estate, and now here we are in the year 2020, and the first baby boomer just turned 74 years of age, and so now they're thinking, or 71 now, I guess, and they're thinking, what am I thinking about now, right? It's retirement. It's here. It's finally here at the right place. Now, I get a lot of people say, well, John, how long have you and Arlene, that's my wife's name, Arlene, been around in the financial industry? And we've been around since the early, we started in 1994. And I get a lot of people say, oh, I should have started with you and your wife back in the 90s. And that's actually not true. You didn't want to be around then, because our business was in the infancy stage, right? But now our company, we've grown and grown and grown. We've now have offices, I think, in almost all 50 states. And we are a big advocate, a firm believer of financial literacy today. And we believe that financial literacy is an absolute necessity. And so if you look at what's going on in our country today, in the year 2012, 37 states required sex education. Now, I'm not like anti-sex education, but I believe in sex education. But if the children who are learning sex education are old enough and mature enough to understand sex education, I also believe simultaneously that these kids should be learning financial literacy, right? Like learning the difference between a stock and a mutual fund, learning the difference between a UIT and an ETF, or what is the difference between whole life and universal life, or what is the difference between active management and passive management, or what is the difference between an IRA and a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, or should I lease a car or should I buy a car? Should I rent a home or buy a home, right? I mean, these are all things that people should know, because somewhere in their life, they're going to have to apply these things, and they never got educated on this stuff. And so this is my issue with financial education in our country today, right? So now to give you an idea what the progress is, in the year 2015, we added one state, which is Alabama, and here we are in the year 2020, and we've got Iowa and North Carolina. So we basically have a total of 7 countries out of 50 that require mandatory financial education. So what I'd like to do is, some people say, well, I don't want to know financial education. Well, but it's interesting that I had to take PE, okay? I had to take math. I had to take English. I had to take American literature. There were certain courses that I had to take while I was in high school. It was mandatory. I had to take a class that ended with an ology. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that? Like physiology, right? I had to dissect a cat. I had to go and take a biology class knowing that I was never going to become a doctor. Why? Because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. Okay, not a bit. I guess I'm not to the extreme of Howie Mandel, but I'm a germaphobe, right? Like many of you guys are, right? I'm sure you go to the bathroom and you wash your hands and you grab some paper and then you open up the door, right? You don't use your hand. Now, some people do. They got no issues with germs. For the same reason a lot of people are walking around with COVID-19, and we know that COVID-19 now recently in the last week or two, that it has increased due to the fact that people have dropped, you know, their safeguards, right? And they're not wearing the mask, they're not social distancing, and they're okay, right? So some people don't even worry about it. But others are, and I was one of those germaphobe guys. I was never going to become a doctor, but I still have to take these courses, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to finance and money. Even though some people say, well, I don't want to know anything about that, well, we should teach it to them so they at least get educated about what that is. So the good news here, folks, is that we are making progress. The bad news is it's really slow. And this is where we come in. This is where I came in, and we started our business in the financial service industry, educating people about the 6 steps to financial security, and which is, number 1, increasing cash flow. I think everybody needs to learn, right now more than ever, it needs to make more money, right? Number 2 is managing your debt, getting out of debt, right? In fact, even in the scriptures, I was talking to a pastor a couple weeks ago, and the pastor was saying that it is a sin to be living in debt, right? And so that's right in the Bible. Number 3 is having an emergency fund. Number 4 is proper protection. Number 5 is creating a long-term savings account. And number 6 is preserving your assets and preserving your estate. So these are the 6 steps, and every week I take one of these areas as the subject matter, and we teach you things about managing your debt. Now there's all sorts of kinds of debt. There's good debt, there's bad debt, but you still need to learn how to manage it, right? And so there's credit card debt, there's IRS debt, there's, you know, student loan debt, there's all sorts of debt, and people don't have any plans or any strategies on how to get out of debt. So now more than ever, people are now starting to say, oh, wow, I better start an emergency fund. We know emergencies happen all the time. In fact, where I'm staying right now, it's actually my other home, you know, we noticed that what part of our house was really warm, and so we realized that our air conditioning wasn't working. And so, and that's here in Vegas. So you can only imagine it's 100 degrees outside plus, and our air conditioning is not working. So, you know, we went out there to take a look at it. And so we called an air conditioning guy, comes out and he says, oh, I think the capacitor is bad. Then it turns out it wasn't the capacitor, but it was the compressor. That the compressor is totally gone. So what that basically means is I need to get a new unit, right? So I said, how much? And got to change out the coils, the furnace, and all that kind of stuff. It's $10,000, okay? So what happens if I didn't have an emergency fund is I would literally be losing a lot of water weight living in this house right now, because I would be sweating bullets. It's like, and the heat for me is like kryptonite too, right? Kind of makes you think why I'm out here in Vegas in the first place, right? So anyway, but listen, we know we got to have an emergency fund, and you know, it's fortunate for me that I have money that I can actually pay for my air conditioning unit. But a lot of people don't have that kind of money. And so this is important why they have to start creating an emergency fund, and the list goes on and on and on, okay? So look, when people get sick, they go to a hospital, right? And you may, you know, depending on where you live, you may have heard of a hospital called Kaiser. Now, Kaiser has what they call an HMO system. They have what they call a primary care physician, and a doctor will meet with you and then send you to all these different specialists. Well, then you go see a radiologist, a gastroenterologist, an immunologist, a neurologist, an endocrinologist. I mean, gosh, can't they make them like single syllable? Like they had to throw in like 5, 6, 7, you know, is it endocrinologist? Okay, 6, right? Syllable. It's crazy, right? I couldn't even say these words, and that's why I never wanted to become a doctor. But what I did create was I created a financial hospital, if you would. And so this is who we are. We do everything from loans. Few weeks back, 4 months ago when this pandemic started happening, everybody was concerned about money and where they were going to get money to pay their bills, their business expenses, their living expenses, as people were losing their jobs, getting furloughed, their businesses were closing down, they couldn't even open. So we started educating people about SBA loans, and I just loved all the messages. In fact, today, just before I got on this, someone texted me and said, John, thank you so much. I just received $60,000. And you can feel it, like her text message. She said $60,000, and it was like teary eyes and how grateful she was that we were able to educate her on how to go and get a PPP loan, right? The private paycheck protection program, or the EIDL, which is called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. A lot of people did not even know how to fill out the paperwork. It was just overwhelming. So we were helping people get those loans. And so, you know, I love knowing that, you know, that we were able to help people. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it's in my genes where I just felt like that is my calling, where I've got to teach, I got to educate. And that's why I'm so thrilled that you're here with us today, right? Then we started to go into merchant processing and credit card processing, and people have no idea how expensive how much their hidden fees, the cost that are associated in running a credit card, especially if you've got Square or Stripe or PayPal, any of those. If you've got PayPal, you've got Stripe, or you've got Square, and you're using any of those three, let me just tell you something. I can show you a way to eliminate probably 50% of those costs inside there. They're all junk fees, right? And then, you know, we got into property and casualty and business insurance and life insurance and health insurance and disability. And we started doing annuities and college planning and retirement and investment advisory services and tax strategies and debt settlement and estate planning and legal stuff and asset protection. I mean, do you see there's so much, but where do you go and learn this kind of stuff? So this is why every week, you know, on Thursdays and on Saturdays, we do some training for about an hour on all these different things. So we hope that you come back and listen and watch our program, because you're going to learn so much. I promise you, you will. You know, at the end of 90 days, you know, after about, you know, 8 or 10, 12 classes, you're going to, I don't want to call them classes, but I mean, webinars, you're going to go, oh my God, oh, I just learned something, right? Like last week, we talked about how to fix your credit. And my phone's been off the hook since that. I can't even keep up with how many people have reached out to us and say, oh my God, that was like the best class ever, right? And just every week we kind of go, how do we get better, you know? The week before that, we talked about how to, God, what did we talk about? I forgot. Maybe it was trust. I already forgot all the different subjects that we're talking about. But last week it was, you know, fixing your credit, and people were grateful that. In fact, today someone reached out to me, and I got to call her back. I haven't forgot about you. If you actually are watching, I did not forget about you. We've just been slammed, you know, just nonstop, literally working 18, 19, 20 hours a day. And for those of you guys that know my staff, Rose Marie, just so you guys know, if you do know her, maybe you guys may want to just send her a quick text message, because I'm sure she would appreciate just a message from all of you if you have her phone number. But Rosemarie's mother, 2 days ago, she got a call that her mom passed away because of COVID-19, okay? So folks, this is real. When people say, oh, this COVID-19 thing, it's a hoax, it's not a hoax. How do you like say, you know, 200,000-300,000 people died and say it's a hoax? It's not a hoax, it's real. And so I know some people are saying that, yeah, but you know, it's the flu. More people die from the flu, or more people died from suicides, or more people died from car accidents. I understand that, but here's the problem, is that all those things aren't as contagious as COVID-19. You know, I came out here also to, you know, another friend of mine who does a lot of real estate stuff with me out here. His name is, I don't want to say his name, but he was actually supposed to meet with me out here in Vegas because we were looking at some real estate transactions. And he said, John, I can't show up. And I go, why not? And he says, and I just got out here to Vegas, and that he told me that he just got COVID-19. And so he and his wife are both right now with COVID-19, quarantine, young couple, right? They're only in their probably early 30s or so. So it's not just the people who are older that are getting this. But anyway, Rosemary's Todd's mother passed away 2 days ago. So maybe you want to text her and just let her know that we have her and her family and her mom in our prayers. So, and so because of I don't have Rose, I don't have Raul around me, so it's a little bit crazy today and trying to get everything organized. So that's kind of like why we may be a little bit unorganized getting situated today. But anyway, in terms of financial literacy, guys, it is an absolute need, okay? It's not a luxury, it's an absolute need, okay? And so I've invested in a lot of different kinds of businesses, a lot of industries, and just want you guys to know that as I've invested in a lot of different industries, just to kind of give you an idea, right? You can see some or a few of these companies or things or industries I've invested into, owned. I still own some of these things. To me, the financial service industry has been the most lucrative industry. And I want you to know that that you may sit here and go, well, I don't know anything about money and finance, or this industry doesn't really, get me excited. I understand that. It may not be your dream, right? This is not something that you always wanted to do, right? Neither did I. And I just want you to know that for me, financial services is not my dream, okay? It's not like when I was 5 years old and my pastor or my coach or my teacher, principal, Boy Scout master said, Johnny, when you grow up, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to go in the financial services. I didn't say that, right? But let me just tell you something. The financial service industry for me is the means to my end, right? It's the means to my end. And the end is all the things I always want to do in life. Just like you, the things that you want to do in life require two things, money and time. You need more time and you need more money. And for me, based on my experience, the financial service industry has afforded me that. And I'll tell you what, I'm writing a new book right now, and I'm talking about a book that will show you industries or businesses that are recession-proof, right? Financially, it's recession-proof from financial crisis. It's recession-proof from pandemics and outbreaks. I really feel like I've got my hands now on an industry that is literally recession-proof. So, having said all that, I just want you guys to know that if you don't come out of this quarantine, right, after 4 months or 3.5 months, if you don't come out with some new skill, some new knowledge, or a new side hustle or business, let me tell you, you need to go on my YouTube, go to YouTube, and I did an episode there about how to have more discipline, because I think that you all lack discipline if you're not learning something new, right? I mean, I'll tell you what, in the last 3.5 months, boy, have I learned a lot of new things, right? I mean, like, things I don't know. And let me just tell you this, there's a lot of you, I want you to know that you have to constantly want to learn, right? Constantly, grab new knowledge, right? And I have learned tremendously over the last 3.5 months what I don't know, right? So a lot of people think, oh man, John knows everything. I don't know everything as much as, and thank you for giving me that much credit, but there's a lot, I realize there's a lot I don't know. And so I have been learning, I've been reading, I've been on podcasts, I've been on YouTubes, I've been just getting as much information as I possibly can. But folks, let me just tell you, it wasn't that you lack time. You can't say over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 decades that you didn't have time. No, it's you lack discipline, okay? You didn't make it a priority for you to want to go and learn a new skill, right? Or to get some new knowledge or to start a side hustle of your own. So let me just tell you this, okay? I believe in passive and residual income. I don't want to exchange time for money, right? A lot of you guys, you go and you work for somebody and you go, what's my hourly rate or what's my base salary, right? No, I don't ever want to exchange my time for my what? For money, okay? And I don't think you should either. What you need to do is learn how to build passive income, build residual income, and that's how you're going to become financially independent, okay? That's how you're going to have more time, right? And so there's a lot of things you could do to make passive and residual income, but for me, I don't know too many people that are making the kind of money that I've been making in passive and residual income. And I'm not going to get into the definition of what residual or passive income is, but I just want you to know that even though you want passive or residual income, you need to have systems, okay? Systems in place. when I hear people say, well, my business is not scalable, or, you know, or 9 out of 10 businesses close in the first, the first 2 years in business. The reason it fails, folks, is they don't have systems, right? Most people don't even understand how to embrace technology today, let alone learn systems. So most people don't understand the power of social media, whether it be Instagram, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or any of those platforms. You don't know how to use it. And I believe that not this coming Saturday, or maybe it is this Saturday. It's either this Saturday or next Saturday. I'm going to show you guys how to use Instagram as a business, right? Like, how do you embrace Instagram and Facebook to make money? Look, folks, a lot of people, I don't understand this. Like, they just want to have followers, right? What is the point of having a bunch of followers? What are you, like, running a cult, right? I mean, I don't understand why people even want to have likes, right? Like, they want likes and stuff like that. Like, you really need somebody's approval, or you need somebody's endorsement because of what you posted. Who cares? You know, I get people call all the time. Like, they hit me on my Instagram, like, hey, you know, for $1,000, I can get you a bunch of followers and get you a bunch of likes. What do I care about that kind of stuff, right? I don't care what people think about my post. What I care about is, how do I make money using Instagram and Facebook, okay? I mean, what's the point of having a bunch of fake followers, 1 million fake followers, when that's not going to generate you any business, okay? So I want you to know that we've got systems in place, whether it's the business system, a financial system, a licensing system, personal development system, leadership system. We've got this down to a science now, okay? And so rather than you going and trying to reinvent one of these systems, we've already done it. And I want to share those with you. As long as you keep on coming back every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, I'm telling you, at the end of 90 days, you're going to go, oh my God, where was John in his show, his Tuesday talks, because he's learned so much. And not only that, he's brought so many people on the show that are providing so much value and so much content. So I want you to know that, you know, we've got it. We've got what it takes. And I want you to get with the person who invited you, right? And say, hey, listen, I want to know how to make more money. I want that new side hustle that John was talking about. I want to learn how money works. Like, John mentioned something called ETF and a UIT. What is that? How does that work? I've never heard of active management, right? Or passive management. That's something new. Well, that's because the rich people know that stuff, but the middle class and the broke people, man, they don't know this kind of stuff, right? So I just want you guys to know that during my tour, during my, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, during my 1 year, you know, that we were on the tour, the Think and Grow Rich World Tour, you know, I met a lot of people. I met a lot of fake people, because I want you to know that in that space, this social media world or Instagram, man, there's a lot of fake people. There's a lot of people who act like they're wealthy. They have a lot of things. They own a lot of things. Or how about, have you guys ever seen one of those where the guy's sitting like this with his phone, and he says, how would you like to own one of these Ferraris, right? And little do you know that that person is basically implying to you that they own a Ferrari, but in fact, they're living at home with their parents, and they dream of still owning a Ferrari. They don't have it, right? And I met a man, there was a lot of people said, have you guys ever had someone say to you, if you ever need anything or if you need help, give me a call? Have you guys ever had anybody say that to you? Because I've had a lot of people say that to me. John, if you ever need anything, let me know. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, right? Well, when someone tells me that they're gonna help me, I don't forget those kinds of things. I am gonna pull my help me card when that time comes. And you know what I realized? That a lot of times people say, if you ever need anything, help me. You know what the best time, one of the best times is when you're moving, right? You say, hey, listen, I noticed we're gonna be moving, and you did tell me that if I needed help, you'd help me out, and we could use some help moving and packing and all that. And it's amazing how many people suddenly say, oh, I'm not available that weekend, or I'm not available at that time. I'll be out of town, right? And then you find out on Instagram and Facebook that they were having a barbecue, or they could have come and helped you, but they didn't. Anyway, the bottom line is I met a man who is one of the most genuine individuals, one of the most caring, compassionate individuals who is financially independent right now. I mean, he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. He's got enough money. But he does what he does because he loves it. Like he and I are cut from the same cloth. Like we just want to help, right? We just want to be of some value to some people. And even myself, when I started my tour, you know, boy, man, talk about a crash course on putting on events. There was a lot of people who said, I'll help you, and I'll even sell tickets, and I'll get people to your event. And most people didn't do nothing, right? Like it's all, you know, one of my mentors said to me one time, one of the best quotes I ever heard, he said, when it's all said and done, more is said than done. And it's true because everybody talks big, but they don't deliver, right? They lack integrity. And the man I'm going to bring you guys today is probably America's greatest small business coaches out there. He's got a tremendous background in everything, serial entrepreneur. He started an organization called Powerteam International. And let me just tell you something. As I go out there in the speaking world, there's people like, I was like, oh, do you know Bill Walsh? I'm like, do I know Bill Walsh? Are you kidding me? We're like, you know, like brothers from another mother now. And so very excited to have a great friend, a great father, a great businessman who is on this webinar to give you guys some tremendous value. I'll tell you what, in the next 30, 45 minutes, you'll probably learn more than you probably did in your entire business life. So without any further ado, let's welcome Bill Walsh. Bill, how are you?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Man, you're looking good.
Man, thanks for all those nice words. I'm going to have to send you a check for all those nice words.
Well, you've done more than send me checks, man. I appreciate your friendship, and
Yes.
I know we've been doing a lot last year, and then of course COVID came and hit us like with a 2x4 in our face, and everything came to a screeching halt. But Bill, there's so many people here right now that, I don't know, there's like 325 people that are watching right now,
Awesome.
And these people are just hungry, you know, as entrepreneurs. What would you share with them? Anything you want to add some value? And I know, I mean, you've spoken everywhere. I mean, by the way, you guys, I neglected to share, he's been on every, MSC and whatever, all the news things. He's spoken at Harvard Business School, you guys. So we've got the man right here. He's going to not sugarcoat anything. He's going to give it to you guys the way it is. And then at the end, we're going to do a few minutes of Q&A. We're not going to be able to get to all you guys, okay? We just don't have the time right now. But if anybody's got the answer, it's going to be Bill and I, all right? So,
well, first of all, John, I want to say your information was spot on today. I listened for the last half hour to your session, maybe 45 minutes, and you were just dropping nugget after nugget. So if you're listening today, what I highly recommend is get a recording of this and watch it again and go through those notes, because many times you'll hear it one time. If you'll hear it again and actually put it in action, you'll retain about 85% of what John just shared with you. So I'm going to tell you something, that John is one of the hardest working guys I know. I know when he launched the tour last year, and we had some great candid conversations, and it was really about people just doing 20% of what they say, you know, and he had people promising the moon and the world, and they delivered nothing. But they couldn't wait to show up at his event and sell their products or services or take their leads. And I'll tell you something, that in life, it's always what people do when they're put on the spot and when nobody's watching that really makes the great entrepreneur. The great entrepreneur is not out there partying all the time. They're planning. When people are bitching and moaning, complaining, right, they're praising. And when people say they haven't seen you at the club in a while, you turn around and say, oh, that's funny, I haven't seen you at the bank in a while. So, you know, it's being able to own your own conversation. But John is a guy that goes to the mat with the people he works with and always gives 1,000%. And the reason he's had the success that he's had is because he's helped others succeed. So yes, my background is high school, college, trader, turnarounds, teamed up with a young company in 2002 called GoDaddy as a marketing partner, another company called Franklin Covey. We launched a little product that we sold all over the world. And within 20 months, we were in 20 countries. We launched an incubator course in 2005 called Rainmaker. It's probably the most intense 2.5 days you'll ever take to work on launch, grow, and build your business. 2007, the venture fund. 2008, the mastermind. 2009, we launched the Inspiration Conference for the first time, which John was honored to speak at, give the keynote down in Orlando earlier this year. And then from there, we put $1 million into this idea called the Small Business Expo. We became their main sponsor and went from little over 7,000 people a year to about 100,000 a year coming out to these events. We launched our speaker program for those that want to speak and sell from stage. And we'll talk about that tonight for those that really have a burning desire that you've got a great message, you've got a story. How do you monetize it online? How do you monetize it in front of live audiences? And I think today is the day that everybody, and I just want you to write this down, if you're an expert at something, this is probably the greatest time ever to bring your message to the planet. Please do not take your story to the grave. I believe you're too good to play small. And after that, we launched book writing courses, internet courses. We launched all over the world. We went into 30-some countries in less than 2 years after that, in like 2012 to 15. And it's been an amazing ride. We've opened success centers now in multiple cities. California, we're in LA and Beverly Hills, and now in Chicago and Vegas, and hopefully Dallas and Atlanta later this year, as incubator centers to help entrepreneurs that have a good idea, how to help them scale that idea, how to have them create more success. And now, of course, we're looking for deals. I mean, we went back to, and I'll tell you this is a great story and this will give everyone an idea of what you have to do when you're playing big to stay big. It's one thing to get to 7, 8, 9 figures a year. It's another thing to stay there. And the secret, once again, is as you're building that business out, you've got to be ready when things happen, and you've got to be decisive, but you also have to stay calm. If I would give you one thing today that's so important, stay calm during all the craziness. Take a step back and look at all things that are going on and be willing to adapt. Write down, stay calm and adapt, because the change is coming whether you like it or not. Digital is here and it's here to stay. And it's not just here in the US, it's not just here in Oklahoma or Miami that you're on stream from, it's all over the world. It is in every major city. You watch a stock like Zoom go from very small users to 200 million users in less than 8 weeks. And their business was able to adapt to that. That is a massive undertaking. But also when this was going on, we had an event down in Florida, a Rainmaker event. And for anybody that wants to launch, grow, build a business, we'd love to help you with that. And I'm going to give you guys a copy of my book just for listening today. But when I looked at this, March 15th, we sat in a hotel in Miami, and the hotel went from 90% occupancy to 14 overnight. And I thought to myself, the writing's on the wall that if we don't move, we're dead. If you do not adapt when times are changing like they're changing, you're out of business. And the one thing about this, it doesn't matter if you're small or large. I mean, Hertz stock was $20 a share just 6 months ago. Now they're fighting for their life to stay in business. Think about these things, right? These changes are coming. But when this all happened, I sat there that morning, the Saturday morning, with my team, and I said, we've got to move. We got to move quick. And literally what I did is that we had an idea for a success summit. So, and I want you to write this down, because it's exactly what we did to not only pivot, but innovate and go to a whole different level. And I wrote down Success Summit. I looked for domain names. I went to GoDaddy, of course, and I found one called successsummit360.com. We recorded that for $9 or $10 for the couple years. And I thought to myself, why not host a 12-hour workshop with some of the top speakers in the world and just start calling some of my friends? And I called John, and I called people like Mark Victor Hansen and Brian Tracy, and I called individuals like Sharon Lecter. And I said, would you mind coming on and being an expert and share some of your wisdom with the world? It's all free. And everyone said yes. And within 11 days, we launched the website. We put the marketing out there, more than 2,000 opt-ins, over 7,000 views to date. And that all happened in 11 days. Because I realized that if we don't move, it's not going to work. But it's bigger than that, right? It wasn't just the free videos. It was taking the idea and innovating. So write down the word innovate. Innovate and apply. You've got to innovate and you've got to apply quickly, right? So the innovation part was that we not only just recorded great content, we put them in 20-minute segments. We then launched something called successclub2020.com, successclub2020.com. We give it all away for free. All the content was recorded, over 200 hours of content in less than 75 days recorded, and we give it away for free in 20-minute sound bites. And then we offer coaching with many of the experts that were on the line, up to a 20-minute session. by simply filling out a form. Because what the magic today in the world today is that you've got to build a community. What John has been so great at and his wife are so great at and his kids are so great at, they've built a great community. They built a community of entrepreneurs and business owners that will play full out, that they know there's no free lunch, there's no get rich quick, it's just get rich. And that really is the big secret here. But to do that, you've got to create value and you've got to market yourself. You've got to understand the idea of how do I put myself out to the world and just give value, 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 but then have a call to action. And the call to action was to build the community. And before you know it, we've now had this success summit going on for, I don't know, since March 25th. We now teamed up with a little company called iHeartMedia. And now iHeartMedia has become a national sponsor for that event and our live events. Because once again, the minute you start playing way outside your comfort zone, please write this down, people will take notice of you. The minute you start playing outside your comfort zone, people will take notice of you. So the question is, are you ready to step outside the comfort zone? Do you know for sure that it's your time to play bigger, right? And if it's your time to play bigger, when do you think it's a good time to start? When do you think it's a good time to put it in 100% mode? I can't have you stay home and feel sorry for yourself. It doesn't work. I'm talking to you right now. If you're listening today, I'm talking to you because I've been there. I've been broke and wealthy. I promise you, broke sucks. It does. You know, you'll find out who your real friends are, because when the tough times come, your real friends walk in, all the fakes are gone. And I post this all the time. I'm a big fan of Drake because my kids all love all the different music. So I've been to every Coachella and Lala and Rolling Loud, and I've seen every young artist, right? And they talk about no more fake friends, right? No room for fake friends. And right now, this is more important than ever, because your time right now, your time is absolutely priceless. Let nobody dictate your time. Let nobody control your time. This is a moment of reinvention. If you're willing to really step into the books, like John said, I invested probably $100,000 in programs over that 12 to 15 weeks just to get better, just to figure out how could I get better at some of these things, because a lot of things I didn't know. And the third piece of that equation, John, is execution. You've got to execute like a rock star. You've got to go 100% and begin to execute right away. Now realize that when you start, you're going to fail. When you start, it's not going to be perfect. When you start, the logins might not work perfect. That's okay. Success, real success, is always a work in progress. And I'll give you a couple of cool tools that we used when we started. So one is called StreamYard. Write down StreamYard. Super easy way to broadcast on Twitch. If you don't know who Twitch is a brand new, also great platform funded by a company called Amazon with millions of users that you can program and broadcast on Twitch, and the subscribers can pay you every month to listen to your broadcasts. Can't do that on Facebook, can't do that on YouTube, but Twitch allows it. But through StreamYard, you can broadcast on LinkedIn, you can broadcast on YouTube, you can broadcast on your Facebook pages, and set this up, get this dialed in, right? Very easy to do. Then we went one step further and said, let's build some free online websites around the world. There's a little app called Mingle, M-I-N-G-L, M-I-N-G-L.no. It builds you a personalized website in 5 minutes, all for free. It lets you build groups and message all over the world for free. You just can't beat some of these tools. And everybody, please understand, being frugal right now is cool. So when I talk about adapt and innovate and overcome, the overcome comes through execution. But the overcome is a process you lean into, you live into. You become that person that understands overcome. And this is how this is all started, right? The magic of what we did is that we took some of these tools. We use a service called InShot. InShot's a little app you download. You shoot your little 1-minute videos, make all your people that are promoting your events or be on your events, shoot a little 1-minute video, push one button, goes to all your social channels. $9 a year. Edit your videos. A good free tool is called Perfect Video. Check out Perfect Video. Free. Edit your videos, make them look awesome. Another one for your podcast. It's called Anchor. Get Anchor set up and get your podcast going. Go to Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and get yourself a little 1-minute video. It'll cost you about $10. Put in 6 sentences, 6 photos, boom. Now you've got a video you can use for marketing your stuff. See, what I believe is that the greatest marketers of our time have yet to really be brought to market. You're watching individuals. I mean, think about this, right? This young girl, Kylie Jenner, sold her company, half the company, for $600 million with only 7 employees. but millions and millions and millions of followers because she created a story. See, I'm telling you today, your story is that big, right? You got to get out there and bring it to the market, but it's definitely that big. And when I looked at all these little tools you could use, it's like, God, some of these things are so simple. Eventbrite lets you run all your own digital events now, $13 a month. And they'll promote your event, and they build a database for you, and they let you have affiliates. So now you've got a complete system for $13 a month that can literally run your promotions, can run your commission tracking, and can track all the data for $13 a month. I recommend you hire a virtual admin. And the big thing when I talk about execution, this is really, really big, everybody. You've got to build those perfect days in advance. You've got to build perfect days in advance. When you start today, get going right now. Plan tomorrow. Plan the first 4 hours. Your 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. hours are the best hours to do business worldwide. If you want to do a lot of business around the world, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific are the best hours worldwide to catch most of the world's population. Think about this. You're catching all of Europe as long as you're on the line before 10 a.m. You can literally go back and catch some of Australia. You can get into some of the markets in Bali, right? But you're getting all of the U.S. And of course, that's a lot of entrepreneurs. That's a lot of new people to talk to. But it has to be you being accountable. And this is the toughest part during this time. It's tough to stay focused. I get that. So find a good accountability partner. Get an accountability partner that will challenge you. Get a good CRM system set up right away. HubSpot is free, costs you nothing. It'll give you all the alerts, all the alarms. Use a service called Calendly, C-A-L-E-N-D-L-Y. Calendly will set up all your appointments. If you use Square for the appointments, you can even take the money. They can pay for the appointment. That part is priceless. But begin to think about how this works, right? We've got to think way outside the comfort zone. When I wrote my book, you've all seen the movie called The Secret. I'm going to give you a gift today. You can actually get the book. All you have to do is take out your cell phone right now, text the word obvious. It's very simple. Text the word obvious, send it to 26786. Send the word obvious to 26786. You'll get the book, you'll get the download, you'll get all that stuff just for being a part of this, right? You'll get some free videos from me. You'll get some videos on how I created the book. If you ever thought about writing your book, you will absolutely love this. If you ever thought about becoming a public speaker, you will love this. I'll give you some videos on getting your public speaking out there. But I'm telling you that today is the age of the entrepreneur. John Shin has generated millions and millions and millions of dollars, helped lots and lots of people. Do you think it just showed up at his house? You know for a fact he outworks everybody. You know, he'll tell you, I'm not the smartest guy. He said, I'm smart enough to get out of my own way and bring on great people. People don't realize this, but if you ever research, a guy's name was Henry Ford. Henry Ford was actually tried for ignorance by his own family. They told him he was too inept to run the company. And he literally took the board and they tried to sue him to get him out of the company, his own kids, right? And they literally took the entire case to his office. And he said, you can ask me any question you want, Judge. I'll push a button. Within 5 minutes, somebody will answer your question. And the judge said, case dismissed. So don't worry if you got some haters or non-believers. Listen, just write down the haters are cheering for you. You know, when you're buying new cars and houses and boats and you're living that life, don't say a word. You'll be surprised how your success will always talk louder than anything you can say. So when you're going through the tough times, listen, you know, if you're going through hell, man, put the foot on the gas, not park, and be willing to get outside the comfort zone. But if you utilize a few of these things I just talked about, number one, stay calm. Super important to stay calm and adapt. Be willing to adapt. Understand the power of innovation, but also listen to your leaders. Stay in tune with the macro markets to understand your market. You know, somebody said something really good, and I loved it, and I transformed more to business. But, you know, Mother Teresa talked about the fact that, you know, she couldn't change the world, but she could change one person at a time. And if she could change one person at a time, she could change the world. And I want you to think about that in your business today, that there's lots of new ways to make money. There's lots of new streams of income, but take what your greatest talent is, figure it out, right? Write it down, create the best results for those you can serve, and launch it online. And don't be lazy with your marketing. But the same thing Mother Teresa talked about, I talk about in business, that maybe you can't change the global economy, but you can change your own personal economy. And if you change your own personal economy, you just might start to change the economy. And John was so good, everybody. Those PPP loans, 48 hours, the money's in your bank. As long as you got records of your payroll, they send the money right away. And the new money, they just opened up $270 billion. Please don't wait. It's 3.75% for your business. Get whatever they're going to give out, because at those loan rates, you're not going to see that for a small business. But I do know this too, is that you've got to be willing to ask for help. You know, you text in obvious to 26786, you'll get my book. You need some coaching, we'll give you some help on that. If it's something I just more than that, I'll just send you back to John for what he does best. But if you need help with either your business, your public speaking, or help with expanding something around the world, or you need some venture funding for your idea, we love these things right now. We're in acquisition mode like crazy. You know, in the process of buying a Ford dealership, got a bunch of real estate out in Southern California, many more businesses, a golf company. I just think this is the perfect time to acquire companies, because there's two things most companies will need right now. Write these down, please. It's money and marketing. It's money and marketing. The reason John and I think so much the same way, number one, family value comes first. My kids are first, right? My family comes first. And there's no doubt about it that I thank God every day for those blessings in my life. And all the greatest deals I've ever done, none of them compare to the quality time that I've spent with my kids, right? And I'll tell you this because it's who you spend your time with. I've really had the most amazing few months spending time with the most amazing person on the planet, and we've literally become so much closer than we ever could have been. So you got to look for, where are all the great things that have happened in your life? Be thankful for some of the unanswered prayers, right? We saved $1 million this year alone by not sponsoring one series of events. Saved me $1 million. So be understanding the fact that when these opportunities show up, they show up for a reason. Please don't take your talent and not put the work into it, right? I know for a fact that I've spent a lot of time with John, and family comes first, faith. You know, you got to have some faith in these tough times. And believe me when I tell you that much of the stuff you see on TV, it is programmed. Their goal is to keep you completely out of what's really happening. It's really crazy when you study the fact that some of the same young protesters, and these are not the peaceful protesters, because I'm not going to do politics at all tonight, but I'll tell you what, there's no doubt we need a lot of change and a lot of elevation. But there are also some really, really sick people on a global level that love chaos. And some of the same people involved on both sides are playing this tune perfect. Meanwhile, most people are missing important bills, important changes happening around the world. And we're not tuned into that. But I do tell you this, you stay close to John and what he teaches and what he does, your financial future is going to get brighter, because he lives it every day. He doesn't just talk about it, he lives it, right? So when I talk about family, faith, and fun, the last one's have some fun. Book your fun first. Begin to book your family vacations. I don't care if it's one day at the park. You start making more money, yeah, you can rent private yachts, you can take private jets, you can do all that stuff, right? But it doesn't matter. Schedule the fun time first. You schedule the fun time first, your brain works better. You'd be surprised how you attract more of the right people when you're out there doing your thing and doing it great. You don't got to go find people. Don't go try to sell people. Skip that. Become so good at what you do, you attract the right people. I've been really good helping companies for 25, 30 years, helping them launch, grow, and build better businesses. Whether it's going public with your company, getting the right partners, getting the right capital in place, and I still love it. And the minute I stop loving it, I'm done. I'm honored that I can work with my son that teaches all over the world. He also lectured at Harvard at 21 years old on internet marketing. So I'll tell you that it's an honor and a blessing to be able to work with your kids. And that's one thing I love about John too, is kids are always there supporting, right? And his wife is completely 100%, right? I knew that John was the greatest salesman ever when I met his wife, Arlene. The secret was out, right? Because I'm like, really? She married you? I said, you know, you got to be good. But I love him and his family, you know, and if you're listening tonight, you're part of his extended family. I'm honored to be here and give back and share. And I hopefully you got enough notes and a few things you can do right now to take your idea, your thought, your business to the next level. But if you have any passion at all to build your business or do some public speaking, we have great public speaker training programs. One is when we do online, one is a 5-day intensive with me, where we help you launch your product, shoot all your videos, create your signature talk, and then in 60 days, we put you on a stage selling your program. Pretty intense. But once again, I'd love to give out a copy of the book. Just text the word obvious to 26786. You'll get a copy of my book and some great videos from me. And John, let's do this. Are there any other questions that you specifically want me to answer for you? And we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, you know, I want to, you guys down below on your screen, you'll see something that says questions and answers. So if you guys want, this is a great opportunity for you guys to ask some questions right now and get Bill's perspective on what you're dealing with. So go ahead and type it in on the bottom. I know there were like 9 other questions here already that came in, and some of our staff members were actually responding to that. So anybody, you guys, some questions about speaking, social media, Facebook, events, approach and contact, objection handling, whatever you want. Now's the time to ask. It's absolutely free, so go ahead and type it in on the bottom. All right, first one just came in. All right, now they're popping in. Okay. For someone who is small, where do you start? So when you say small, I mean, I'm assuming like financially small, or I'm not sure, but Bill, it's a broad question. When someone is small, where do you start?
So first of all, here's what I always like you to write down. I'd like you to just create a little square on your page right now. Just make a square, and I'll show you what I look like. Looks like this, right, guys? Just do this. Take your pad of paper and do this, right? I don't care if you're small or large. It doesn't matter. The first thing is that you've got to position yourself as an expert. It's always number one. Just write this down. What are you great at? Serves a lot of people, and there's money in that space. Don't do something because you're passionate about it. That's not enough. I don't want a passionate surgeon. I want a competent surgeon that's confident, that knows exactly what he's doing. And I'll tell you today that people love specialists. Who makes more money, the surgeon or the MD? It's not even close. So I don't say quit your jobs. What I do say is pick your niche, get to the top 10. All the money's in the top 10. The second piece of that, John, and I'll just give that quickly, is that you've got to get empowered. You got to have the right tools. You know, you got to have, and this is important, just write these down. You got to have funding. You got to have a good team. You got to have a plan. You got to have systems in place. You cannot skip any of the parts of the recipe. You got to have great marketing. You got to be organized. You got to be accountable. You got to track your sales, track your leads, track your follow-ups every day. If you're part of John's team, just use this very simple, right? How many did I talk to? How many did I present to? How many did I help get started? How many did I serve? In the Bible, it says to become wealthy, it says serve others, not serve yourself. So if you're part of someone's team right now, you're a contractor, you're small or big, I don't care how big or small they are, right? How many did you talk to? How many did you present to? How many did you help get started with your company? And see, that's a factor of, once again, the ratios that you build. And then the other E that I like, John, this is a really big one too, it goes down on the bottom down here somewhere, is that you got to get exposure. So get a book cover done tonight. Go to Killer Covers, get a book cover done. Then go to a website called Help a Reporter. Help a Reporter, just Google Help a Reporter and get yourself listed with all these different PR services to give some of your insight and your wisdom. Put a little press release out about your new book. ereleases.com will do it for those little $200 for a nationwide press release about your new book. I don't care if the new book comes out in 2 years. You could promote the book cover tonight. The minute you got a book cover, you're perceived as an expert in your niche. And I recommend, once again, get the exposure. The book cover will open up all the doors for you like you've never seen before. If you want to speak to millionaires in your town, there's a group called Vistage. Go to Vistage.com. They have online events every day now, 10,000 events a year, always looking for speakers. Rotaries, the Tips, Chambers, Eventbrites, meetups. These are all possible places to get connected with exposure, because you've got to stay on the offense for your marketing. And then, of course, the other thing that we talked a lot about, John, that you are so good at, right, is execution. Execute. Pretend once again that that you're the CEO, but you're part of the board now that looks down at the company. And based on the last 7 days of your success, would you have hired or fired yourself? And that's where it gets tough. The reason people love my books and the stuff that we teach about when we train at Rainmakers or our Platinum Speaker Camps or our Win events you've been to is because we cut through all the bullshit. Skip all the feel good and blah, blah, blah. Go out there and serve people. Be so great at what you do, the competition worries about you. If you take 10% of your time, keep worrying about the competition, you've taken 10% of your time off the eye of the prize, which creates so much value that people think you're nuts. But those little things, I don't care if you're small, medium, or large, those little things all work to help you create more success quickly than you could ever imagine trying to do it all by yourself. So hope you got that in 5 minutes.
Oh man, was that good or was that good off the cuff, guys? All right. Next question here. What did you say about StreamYard? Did you develop or market it? Because I hear great things from users.
No. StreamYard is a service that I use that I did research on. The other one I like is also called Remo. Look up Remo. So StreamYard is really good if you're going to have like large groups to stream to all your different channels. You can even put StreamYard inside of Zoom. You can literally do a screen share. This is crazy. Do a screen share from your Zoom on your StreamYard, and you can combine both together, which I've done this when I do trainings. I put them both in so all the attendees can see each other. So you share a screen inside of Zoom on your StreamYard back office, and now they can see both. But I also like Remo. Remo is a tool that we use. We launched something called Network at Noon. So simple. Networkatnoon.com, where every Tuesday, Thursday, you just come in and network. But you have your own tables to sit down at. We have a stage. We can play videos. You can connect people right there on their LinkedIn. You can push a button, literally push a button, John, go right to their Calendly and make an appointment with somebody brand new. And we did all that for free. And the reason it's free is because, once again, where's the money? The money's in the list. So create places that your customers can go to where they stay connected to you. Another great test they can do right now is just make a list of your 100 customers that you've served over the last year. Give them all a call. Do 20 calls a day. 20 calls a day. Thank them for their business. And of course, once again, they just might have some referrals for you. So don't be lazy with the referrals, because the referrals are a gold mine. I think last month alone, we probably did more than 100 grand just in some referrals by making 5 or 10 phone calls, because they were already a trusted source. Greatest source in your business, everybody, are qualified referrals. John never has to worry. If I've got someone asked about his product or service, I just say, just call John. Let me do a 3-way call with John. Let me edify John properly, put him on the phone. John will take care of the rest. And that's the great part of that. When he didn't just get there. He didn't just arrive. He paid the price in advance. When it comes to success, you always pay full price, and you always pay in advance. And John, I want to thank you for your mentorship, and thanks for doing all the work that you do. So many folks that I've sent through your company, your programs, your live events, they've loved it. And they've met so many great people.
Great. Thank you. Awesome.
Wow,
appreciate
true.
that. Let's see here. I know I have a great story and I have a great presentation,
Okay.
but struggle to get in the door to share it. How do you get in front of people?
So here's what I found out. You don't chase people, number one. You go to the right events where the right people are at. So when I first started this back 2012 and I wanted to go international, I bought myself a first-class ticket to London, and I went to this conference with a guy named Tony Robbins and all these big speakers. And I waited in line at a coffee thing to get some coffee, and this really amazing lady walked up behind me in the line. We started chatting, and I bought her coffee, and I bought myself something before it all started. And she's like, "What are you here for?" I said, "I'm here to, we run some events in the States, and I like to speak over there and like to speak around the world. And we have great programs for entrepreneurs and business owners. We have public speaker programs." And she said, "Wow, that's really cool." So when I got my food, I went and sat down. And then she came and said, "Hey, can I sit with you?" I said, "Well, of course." We sat down, had the most amazing conversation in 5 or 10 minutes. It was all about her this time. Because I said, "Well, what do you do and how are you involved with this conference?" She said, "You're not going to believe this." She said, "But my husband and I, we own the whole conference. We run the entire event." And she said, "Let me take you backstage so you can meet my husband." So I'm telling you this today. And then for 2 years, we did global tours with that group. I'm telling you this because it's so important that you show up at the right place, the right people show up. So if you've already got a great story and you got a great message, right? I can't give out my cell number because it'll get blown up. But if you text in, text in that number, or if you have John's number, you can connect through John. That's an easy way to do that. John can always put us on the phone together. But definitely text in the word obvious to 26786. Get my book. It's easy read, or it's on video, whichever way you want it. But I'd love to talk to you. And what was her name? Do I have a name for her, John?
That was, that was actually Robert Cunha.
Robert, okay, good, Robert. So you can always find me on Facebook too. I'm at Bill Walsh 360. That's easy to find me there. Send me a message. Good stuff, man. Love to be on anything you do, brother. Thanks.
Yeah, Robert, and just, call me too, and I'd love to connect you. And if you've got a great story, we just got to get you on stage. We've got the events, we've got platforms. you know, and
Guys, we do almost 400 live events a year. We started back June 1st. July 16th is our first big event in Tampa.
okay, just so you guys also know, because a lot of you guys attended these events. So in Los Angeles, and it's all over the country, just so you guys know. Many of you guys probably attended something called the Small Business Expo. Do you guys know about the Small Business Expo? Okay, just so you guys know, that Small Business Expo, you're all raising your hand, cool. If you went there, because you know you went there to go prospecting, meet people, recruit people, or sell them something, and you're walking around just trying to meet people, hi, what do you do? And then you formed them, got their business card, you followed up, and then you went and did some business with them, right? Well, guess what? I just want you guys to know that entire event, like all the small sessions and the breakout meetings and all the outside speakers that people come in, that was Bill Walsh and Powerteam International is the largest sponsor or the biggest sponsor of the Small Business Expo. So when Bill said, hey, you know, this prior to this thing, it saved me $1 million. Just so you know, some of you guys are trying to make $1 million. Okay, well, Bill was, I don't want to say blowing $1 million because he wasn't blowing it, but he was investing $1 million a year just in advertising to be the primary sponsor for the Small Business Expo.
And that was only one event, 17 events a year. We do nearly 40 events a month.
That's right.
We run masterminds in 35 cities.
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, he did not invest in the Small Business Expo this year and went out and branched off and did his own event, right? That the first one. Well, no, where did it launch from? It launched
Inspiration 2020 actually started in 2009. Believe it or not. We put that inside the Small Business Expo to 2019. That Inspiration 2020, because it was the year of 2020, we launched it on our own. And actually, I think our first city for that was Orlando. Miami, and you spoke there.
Yeah, that's the one I went and spoke at. Yeah, so yeah, you guys, I flew out there. Thanks, Bill. So I went out there. I mean, it was just tons of people, the people you meet, the people you run into. So again, this is why I want you guys to get with me, and then maybe we can get some of you guys on the stage, right? But there's certain things we got to do. We got to make sure we don't want to just throw you up there and you're like, you know, we got to prepare you to know what to say on that stage. Does that make sense? Speakers don't just go up and wing it. Like, I mean, unless you're a seasoned person, like if you see like a Bill Walsh or myself or an Ed Milet, right? Like we speak every single day. So speaking is like it's like second nature to us, right? But you guys, this is not how we started. Like, I mean, it's almost scary to think about if you saw me the very first time I ever spoke, right? Or even Bill. So we just need to get you guys out there and get you more exposed. Remember, one of the E's that Bill was talking about was exposure, right? And so, a lot of you guys, right? Not just Robert, but every single one of you right now, all 300 plus 400 of you, you all have a story. You realize that, right? You all have a story that could be turned into a movie, for crying out loud. It could become an Oscar-winning blockbuster movie, because if you sit there and think about your parents, your grandparents, and the sacrifices that all your parents and grandparents made as immigrants, unless you're American Indian, you're all immigrants, right? I mean, you know, that you came to this country seeking the American dream, and you all got a story, right? Even how you got to this country is a story. Then you got here, and now guess what? Right here in between these 6 inches, you guys have intellectual property, and you could be capitalizing on that. So we're here to help you guys, all right? Now, here's a question that I get pretty frequently, and I'm going to have Bill answer this one. But, Bill, this is from Tammy, and she said, what would help an introvert get out of the comfort zone? Like, how do you get an introverted person to kind of get it, you know, to come out? And hey, Tammy, that's a great question, because I get that a lot as well. So, Bill, what would be your response to introvert?
Tammy, here's what I first of all recommend. I recommend most introverts are great with conversation. They're great with conversation one-on-one. So begin to, once again, first of all, every time you speak to a group, 1 or 5,000, I need you to think of it like a conversation. I need you to always start with some questions. I need you to have some kind of fun icebreaker that just kind of opens the door. Thank John for having me here, right? When I first came on, I thanked John for having me on here. I thanked him for being a part of this event, right? So as an introvert, the minute you can move from trying to give a presentation to just a conversation, this becomes a whole lot easier. So for you, you can also do a lot of broadcasting on Facebook, run your ads, move them to one-on-one consults where they're surveyed. Always have a survey or a questionnaire with 5 to 6 questions so can I serve this person, yes or no? If I can serve them, then there's reason for a follow-up call. And the follow-up call can always be done with someone else that edifies you properly and then puts them on the call. But this is something, once again, that as you're starting that, you have to understand how important it is that the movement from the introvert that I'm afraid to talk to groups has to move from having a conversation to then getting more comfortable with it. And the funny thing is you get more comfortable with the audience gets more comfortable with you. So begin with one-on-one conversations first, nothing wrong with that. Beginning and having maybe 1 on 5 or 1 on 10. Go into like something like Remo or do one of those things where you got like 5 or 10 at a table and it's really easy because all they really see is your face and just have a conversation. But the more you do that, some of the greatest speakers in our time are all introverts. They once again are not, but they didn't start there. And understand that when you speak, your first 100 talks are all practice. First 100 talks, nothing but practice. And treat it that way. Don't get worried about it. Every speaker screws up. I screwed up tonight on some things, but that's okay. I'll get better next time. I think because I fail so much, I get better.
That's right. Love it. All right. Next question is, what do you tell people when they say, it's an objection handling question here, Bill. They say, but what do you tell people when they say, I have no money, or I have no time, or I'm too busy? What do you tell these people?
So I always like to tell them, first of all, so if money wasn't an issue, would it be good to get started today? If we got money out of the way as an issue, would that be okay? Could we get started today? Yes or no? And if they say no, then they're lying to you, right? But if we can get money out of the way as an issue, perfect. And then I might say to them, based on what you're looking for, what do you think that you can actually afford monthly? Because you only want to move people down a track you can actually serve. Can you serve them well? Can you help them make money? Can you really help them have an outcome that is something that they're really shooting for? So I always like to figure out, first of all, what are their big goals? When I talk to potential clients, I tell me about your big goals, right? What are some of your big challenges? Now, what is the budget you've set aside to make this happen? Well, because obviously, is it a goal or a dream? Is it something you're dead serious about or something you're just thinking about? Because if you're dead serious about it, you'll figure it out.
That's right.
And then I always use this. I'll always go, there's so much outside financing right now. If their credit's even okay, I'll put them on the phone with PayPal, give them 6 months of free financing. Up to $15,000 that you got 6 months to pay the money on, right? So we get the money thing out of the way. I'm too busy. Well, good. Then, if you're too busy, this is probably a perfect time. Take a step back and let's look at your overall plan. Because is your overall plan putting you in a place called Busyville or Productivity Central? I find that folks in Busyville always want a place called Brokeville. Busyville equals Brokeville. You're going to find the most successful people are some of the ones that are the most productive. They're not busy, they're productive. They've scheduled family, faith, and fun first, right? And all of a sudden the money's a byproduct because you get in the zone. And once you're in the zone, I want you to write this down tonight, you become unstoppable. Michael Jordan, over his years of playing basketball, he said, when I started out, hey guys, he said it was nothing but pure raw talent. And he said, by the time he finished his career, it was nothing but craftsmanship. He was just so good at what he did. You know what I mean? LeBron James in his prime, still honestly is part of his prime, right? He just glides down the court. Glides down the court. Tiger Woods in his prime. It was Tiger and the whole rest of the pack, right? So I need you to think tonight that help them become so good at what they do that they're no longer busy, that they're 100% productive. And if you have a really honest conversation with them, they really do understand that Busyville is Brokeville. And if they're not broke money-wise, they're broke family, relationships, something else is broke, right? So hopefully that helps you, give you a few ideas on that. And here's what I always find is that if you're dealing with someone that you feel maybe they're wealthier than you or they have this, you're not sure about the conversation, put them on the phone with someone else from your team that can make those questions go away. That have absolute, not just confident, they're competent, right? I don't care how much money somebody makes, right? I'll always ask them, if you made all these hundreds of millions of dollars, where's the charitable foundations at? Who are the 10 most important people in your life? Oh, they are great. Show me the last years of photos with them 10 people. And it's shocking that they have no photos. So it's really a real heart-to-heart conversation, not in a group, but more one-on-one for that conversation. That's a game changer conversation.
Call them out. Call them out.
Guys, I see a lot of folks have opted in. This offer for the book's good for like 48 hours, so take advantage of it. Just text the word obvious to 26786 and share it. Give the book to somebody else. I don't mind giving it away for free. And I'll teach you guys how to write your own books. If you want to write your book and publish in 90 days, I'll teach you exactly how to do it.
It's awesome. Say that one more time so they get the code.
It's so easy, guys. You can hit me on Facebook, Bill Walsh 360, all together, Bill Walsh 360. Or if you just text in right now, text the word obvious to 26786 from your cell phone. And if you're outside the U.S. borders, you'll have to go to this website. It doesn't work outside the U.S. borders. You go to ipowerteam.com/VIP. Letter I, powerteam.com/VIP.
Yeah. Okay, last question for the night, guys. And I gotta go. We have a lot of questions here, and I told you we couldn't get to all of them, but here, a lot of you like, could you go over that website, that thing? We're going to upload this YouTube video, so hopefully by tomorrow, my video team will have it up. Go ahead and just type in John Shin with Bill Walsh. It'll pop up. You can watch this again, and everything is in there. But again, just go in there to 26786. When you're texting somebody, you type in 26786, and then when you type in obvious. Like, how do you not want his book? If you guys felt like you got all this content right now for free, okay, and Bill's at a meeting. Yeah, this is just the beginning for free. Can you imagine if you actually came to an event that Bill and I are doing together? So here, do this. This is the last question, you guys, that we're going to answer. And I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but this one's a good one. I want to hear Bill's responses. But Bill, they said, how do you get across your vision? How do you get somebody to? How do you stretch their vision? How do you get your vision across to somebody? Because obviously that's an important thing for you.
So this is really big, and let me see if I can share my screen for a second. Okay, I want to show you something really quick.
Okay.
I just want to see if it works. Maybe it does. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hang
on. Let me just. I'm gonna
give you the permission or something like that. Maybe.
Yep. Exactly. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do that. Right.
I'm looking for a tab. You should be able to go to a tab, I think.
Yep. Let's see.
I
think you already have it. You already have access.
I have access. Let me just see if I can bring this PowerPoint up. I don't see where I can do that. Let's see, portion of screen. Let me just see if I can pull the PowerPoint on there. Hang on a second, guys, because I only want you to see one slide, only because we didn't have this plan, but you asked this question, so I thought it would be kind of cool, right? Let me see if I can make that just a little bit bigger for you guys. This is the screen I want right here. Let's see, it's kind of like getting boxed out of there. Let me see. Slideshow, play the current slide. Let me just give you one more slide. So this slide is a guy that most of you know about that was laughed at. He was fired from his own company, told he was stupid, he was dumb, he would never make it. And he came back in, and he came back with just one word. And that one word was vision. See, if you didn't follow his vision, hang on a second, guys, hang on. If you didn't follow his vision, he said, there's the door. So you've got to create a vision so big that it scares you outside the comfort zone, that it pulls you to the comfort zone. You know, so understand that when you're getting pulled outside that comfort zone, that's where all the magic is at. So always write this down. The vision is always where you're going. The mission is how you get there. The purpose is why you're doing it. So think bigger, right? Vision's where you're going. If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. The mission is how you get there. And the mission's always based on the number of customers you serve. And of course, super important, everybody, right? Is that once you have this down, you become non-negotiable. And I need you non-negotiable starting right now. I can't have you wait on this stuff, right? Because it's just too important. It's way too important that your story get out to the marketplace and understand that if you really do understand how the vision works, it's a game changer. Let me see if I can go back to change this out a little bit here and actually spread the screen. So I'll get rid of this share screen for a second. There's something that popped up in between this. I'm not sure what that is. I got it. Hang on a second, guys. Keeps popping now. I can't see it, but wow, that's a little tricky, man. This thing's really tricky. There we go. Let me stop sharing. There you go, John. So I share this with you because if the vision's not big enough, you're going to quit. Put it on a poster board. Type it out 50 times. My friend Mark Victor Hansen He wrote a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was laughed at by 143 publishers, but number 144 said yes. And they sold 500 million copies. Don't let nobody, negate your dreams. Don't let nobody, shit on your parade because your story's too good. Negative people, the reason they're so negative is because they begin to attract each other. And that's what Einstein talked about. He said, like energy attracts. So when it comes to your vision, make it so big that it scares you. Make it so exciting that it brings and attracts the right people, because a big enough vision will attract the right people. And I'll tell you, in my life, John, ever since I moved towards that back in 2000, I realized I just couldn't do it by myself. I could do so much more. You want to go fast, go by yourself. You want to go far, build a great team. John has built a world-class, global team. We did the same thing. It wasn't by accident. It was all by design. But I never tried to find people. I created such an amazing attraction because of the results that we had, right? That if I got to coach all these different companies and some of these big names, if I could help them, I could help anybody out there who wants to launch, grow, and build a better business or become a public speaker. Because I tell you this tonight, because the vision is so big, once again, scares you outside the comfort zone. There is no retreat. There is no going back. John, like myself, 100% committed. And when you stop loving what you're doing, it's different. But when you can really have the passion and people can feel your passion, they can feel that you're committed, then it just becomes more fun. So have more fun. You'll make more money. When you change your attitude, you can change your latitude. And when you partner with great people like John, Shin, and some leaders that are on this event tonight, your game gets better. It forces you to get better. So for all those that opted in, I know you'll love my book. You got some comments, send me some comments, of course. Hit me on Facebook. I'm good on Facebook. I'm really bad by phone. I'm great by text. But John, I just want to say thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill, for jumping on. I know you're here somewhere in Vegas. You're at Caesars or something, right?
Yeah, we got we can show you guys, we got an absolutely crazy, ridiculous, like 2- and 3-story penthouse that we're in. It's so crazy.
That's awesome. All right.
But it's not like your castle, brother. I love your castle.
Awesome. Well, guys, hey, this is what we're talking about. We continue to bring more and more speakers.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, Bill, for joining us today. Let's give him a big round of applause. He's already gone, but you guys can hit him up on that. Thank you for hitting that little button on the side. But listen, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, it's not too late to be a business owner. Start your own business. Please get with the person who invited you. Get more details. Join us next week. We've got unbelievable speakers coming in this whole entire week through next week, okay? Couple of books that I want to recommend to you guys. I personally love The Money Game, the book by Tony Robbins. I love Ben Baldwin, the new life insurance investment advisor book. I also love a book called The Retirement Miracle by Patrick Kelly. Highly recommend it to you guys. And of course, if you want to work on your mindset, these are 3 amazing books. And by the way, my book, at the end of this month, you only got a couple weeks left to go and get my audio or my ebook for $2.99, guys. So I want to say happy birthday to my good friend Catherine Selnowski. Today is her actual birthday. And then, of course, Angie Cortez, congratulations to you. You just got your promotion to senior associate. Congratulations. And then, of course, guys, tomorrow, the next day, it just never stops. Next week, join us with Randy Spelling. We're going to be dropping some bombshells for you guys. Please follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, and go and watch my YouTube videos. All right, you guys. Hey, be blessed, be safe, and let's go. And as my good friend Ed Milet would say, go max out, everyone. Have a productive evening. Take care, and thank you for joining us.